The keen and the queen were curling at quoits in the meadow behind of the mere, though mainly the meadow was muddled with mow, and heretical hither to here. Now violin only with pizzicato, pinky, pinky, bunk, 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 balunky, balunky, blink, 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 go zoom, zoom, zoom.
Now, are we all met? Let's see. 1, 2.
1, 2. I get 2.
2's what I get.
But double checking, I still get 2.
I was always under the impression there was 3 of us.
Wait, let's see. You get 2, he gets 2, I get 2.
So that's 3 2s, making
1, 2, 3. Let me get a few fingers, will you?
I got more if you need them.
4, 5, 6. 6. There's 6 of us?
Well, that's impossible. We only got 3 pairs of pants.
The way to figure out how many of us are present is by algebra.
I've got my first grade algebra book right here. It says, let x equal the unknown.
The unknown, huh? Ooh, that would be Norbert Xanax over in Waycross.
He's unknown?
The best? I never heard of it.
Me neither. Okay. I'll put down a 1 for me not knowing him.
Mark me down for another.
Like me.
I add up the 1s, and I get 3.
Meaning there's 3 of us don't know it.
Meaning there's 3 of us.
Man, that algebra is a miracle. Hey, so we're all here. Let's get started. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Songs of the Pogo, a theatrical concert. I'm Walt.
I'm Walt.
I'm Walt. We are the Three Walts. We'll be telling you stories and singing songs by Walt Kelly. Mr. Kelly wrote some of the music to the songs, but most of the music was composed by Mr. Norman Modan. And this first story serves as an introduction to the song Go Go Pogo. A little less than a century ago, a determined group of backwoodsmen gathered together in one of our frontier states and eyed a tall, lean, gangling fellow.
Well, he looks okay to us,
said one, using a new expression. With this, the men sent through their petition. This was the man they wanted for president. Now, one of the group was a traveling musician and entertainer who had written many a riverboat jig.
What we need is a good campaign song,
he declared, and he sat down at the piano and wrote the song, Go Go Pogo. Now, to the tune of this new song, the frontiersmen swarmed onto one of those big Mississippi riverboats and set out for the capital. They felt confident that the man who was one of them, the man whom they carried on their shoulders and in their hearts, would be the next president. When Piedmont Pogo and his followers arrived in Washington, they found the country already had a president. What do you want him for? Asked the campaign manager for the frontiersman, speaking to an important passerby. We've got the right candidate right here. And he pointed to Mr. P.F. Pogo, who stood 7 feet tall and weighed upwards of 145 pounds. A memorable figure of a man. Piedmont, said the campaign manager, wrestle for the man. And Piedmont put on a show of wrestling before the bystander which impressed anyone who ever saw it. Piedmont wrestled only himself. He lost, but it was close.
well,
said the man,
he looks all right, but like I said, we got a president. Besides, it isn't a presidential year. You can't get elected if there isn't an election.
Is that a fact? Exclaimed the CM. Fact, said the man.
Another thing, you're going to have a candidate, you've got to have a party. You can't have one without the other.
Is that a fact? Exclaimed the CM. Fact, said the stranger, and bid them all a pleasant good morning.
Morning.
Fellas, cried the campaign manager, how much money we got? Well, the crowd dug up about $42, which they put in the manager's hat. He counted it slowly, and then said, if we got to have a party, we got to have a party. Well, the party at one of the smaller inns turned into quite an affair, at which the police finally presided. The frontiersman, several months later, returned home, footsore and pale. It was the end of Piedmont's political career. When he was asked later if he'd like to return to Washington, he replied that no, he'd seen it. The song to which his friends rallied even in later years follows now in its original version. And make or bumping into an inoffensive fellow participant. Nonetheless, it has occurred to somebody that now is the time to talk reflectively of boyhood. Therefore, a backward glance. And the first thing that occurs to me is that they're gaining on us fast. Life, in some ways, is like a race through a tunnel of love where pictures of places and people speed backward and away to be replaced by new impressions which in turn disappear to the rear. Much goes past you, around you, and over you, if not actually through you, before it is decently noted and before most of us have been properly introduced or classified. The boy thrills to the chase and longs to see what's at the end. Yet as he runs, he gathers sense enough to know that you'll be sorry when it's over. For whatever else it is, the trip's fun. The immediacy of the present with its baffling problems and the lure of the beyond make up for the poignancy that yesterday's present is a handful of brown beans. A song not for now, you need not forsake. A tune for the one can be sung for today. The notes of the dove will sound as the dove. Today you can sing for the will be that was. A song not for now, you need not forsake. A tune for the one can be sung for today. The notes of the dove will sound as the dove. Today you can sing for the will be that was. Possibly nobody feels that he's little when he's a boy. There's just the impression that other people are bigger. Boys my own age were curious creatures, not entirely to be trusted until centuries of adventure and misadventure had welded our hearts into one. Girls were mysteries and have remained so. One thing I was able to discover at about 10 or 11 was that girls were very good to kiss. This realization came with a sense of relief. Until that point, I had been spared of their being in any way useful. And it had to be admitted that mothers were female too, although they were ready-made adults. Once in a while, one of them would let slip that she'd been a girl at one time. To believe, on the other hand, that a father had been a boy at his time was comparatively a snap. Perhaps that's because most of them remained somewhat boys. Now, sisters are something else. They're neither girls, the kissing type, nor are they mothers. Well, there's something like small mothers, but not entirely. I mean, who belts his mother? But it is at a mother's knee that one hears the songs of one's early youth. Their haunting melodies burn into the brain. No exception is the lullaby, Many Harry Returns. With this stirring to rivet into his consciousness as a small child, Major Madman Pundish remembered and sang it to his troops as they stormed Chicory Crossing. Major Pundish was immediately slain, riddled by a hail of lead which observers believe came from both sides of the line. But he did not pass away until he had sung again the song, Many Harry Returns. His aide said that
All we could do was wait. It wouldn't have been fair to fire again.
the lullaby was then picked up by the enemy, who used it as a marching song. It is claimed that the song did more to win the war than 10 regiments. Certainly it is that as the enemy continued to use the melody, their ranks became more and more split. At last, a thoroughly disorganized rabble was put to flight, mumbling as they ran, for one we can be, two before we fly, before we do it. You see, all friends of Mrs. Pundish have conjectured that as young Bunce was dandled on his mother's knee, he became confused as to the words and tune of the lullaby, Many Harry Returns. Now, Mrs. Pundish was notorious throughout 3 counties as a woman of unusually squeaky kneecaps. The squeaking of the knees, plus little bunches on corduroy pants, may have had some contributory effect upon the words and tune as Major Pundish remembered them. Certain it is the line in the song, "In spite of purple weather," had at one time a different meaning. Even the oldest inhabitants do not recall purple weather. Some have suggested the line actually was, "Inside of turtle sweater." Now this, of course, would make much more sense. But in the main, we have found that it is best to stick to the tradition. So this is the lullaby, "Many Harry Return." Once you were two dear birthday friends, in spite of purple weather, but now you are 3 and near the end, as we grew some together. Out for so now, for soon you will be more. But for one can be 3, be 2, be 4, be 5, be 4.
Yes, Mingo, so Pogo, go, Killa, ha ha, go. Patsy, go to Frisco, go to Fargo. Oh, Keith and Okie playing a possum on a pogo. Stick around and see the show. Go overland alive, a band of jive will blow, go pogo. I go, you go, who go, to go, Pollywoo go. From Caravan Diego, oh, Waco and Oswego. Tweedledee, he go, she go, we go, me go, pogo.